The National Electrical Code, or NEC, does not explicitly require fire-rated doors or walls for electrical rooms. However, building codes such as the International Building Code, or IBC, and the International Residential Code, or IRC, might. Specifically, IBC Chapter 5 mandates fire-rated doors and walls for certain electrical rooms, with requirements dependent on the voltage, amperage, and the amount of equipment within the room. IRC Chapter R313 dictates fire-rated doors and walls for electrical rooms exceeding 100 square feet or containing equipment operating at voltages greater than 240 volts. Therefore, the necessity of fire-rated doors and walls depends on the particular building code being enforced, along with the room size and the characteristics of the equipment housed within. Some local jurisdictions may enforce regulations beyond the national standards. Insurance companies could mandate fire-rated doors and walls for electrical rooms to mitigate liability risks in the event of a fire. Fire-rated doors and walls act as barriers, slowing the spread of fire and safeguarding the equipment inside the electrical room. While the NEC doesn't explicitly demand fire-rated doors and walls, building codes or other factors, like insurance stipulations and fire safety concerns, could necessitate them. Consulting with local authorities and stakeholders is crucial to determine the specific requirements for electrical rooms in a given jurisdiction. It is important to be aware of several factors that can impact the decision of whether to install fire-rated doors and walls in electrical rooms. Firstly, consider the specific edition of the NEC, IBC, and IRC that is being enforced in the jurisdiction. Building codes are updated regularly, and it is crucial to comply with the most current version to ensure safety and compliance. Secondly, the size and layout of the electrical room play a significant role. Larger rooms or those with complex layouts may require additional fire protection measures to ensure adequate safety for personnel and equipment. Thirdly, the type and quantity of electrical equipment within the room must be considered. High-voltage equipment or a large number of transformers may increase the risk of fire and necessitate enhanced fire protection measures. Fourthly, the occupancy classification of the building where the electrical room is located is a crucial factor. Buildings with high occupancy, such as hospitals or schools, may have more stringent fire safety requirements compared to low-occupancy buildings. Fifthly, the presence of other fire protection systems in the building, such as sprinklers and fire alarms, can influence the need for fire-rated doors and walls in the electrical room. If the building has comprehensive fire protection systems in place, the requirements for fire-rated doors and walls may be less stringent. Sixthly, the distance to other critical infrastructure or occupied spaces should be taken into account. Electrical rooms located close to critical infrastructure or occupied areas may require additional fire protection measures to prevent fire from spreading and causing damage or injury. Seventhly, the recommendations of a qualified fire protection engineer or consultant can provide valuable insights and guidance on the appropriate fire protection measures for electrical rooms. These professionals can assess the specific risks and hazards associated with the electrical room and recommend the most effective solutions to mitigate those risks. Eighthly, the cost of installing and maintaining fire-rated doors and walls should be considered. While fire-rated doors and walls can provide significant fire protection benefits, they also come with additional costs. It is important to weigh the cost against the benefits to determine the most cost-effective solution for the specific situation. Ninthly, the potential impact of a fire in the electrical room on the overall operation of the building should be assessed. A fire in the electrical room can disrupt power supply and critical systems, leading to significant downtime and financial losses. Installing fire-rated doors and walls can help minimize the impact of a fire and ensure business continuity. Tenthly, the long-term maintenance and inspection requirements for fire-rated doors and walls should be taken into account. Fire-rated doors and walls require regular inspection and maintenance to ensure they function properly in the event of a fire. Neglecting maintenance can compromise the effectiveness of these fire protection measures. In addition to the factors mentioned above, it is essential to consider the specific performance requirements for fire-rated doors and walls. Fire-rated doors and walls are classified based on their ability to withstand fire for a specific period, typically ranging from 20 minutes to 3 hours. The required fire resistance rating will depend on the specific application and the fire hazard associated with the electrical room. It is also important to ensure that fire-rated doors and walls are installed correctly to ensure they provide the intended level of fire protection. Proper installation includes using the correct hardware, sealing gaps and penetrations, and ensuring the doors close and latch properly. Regular inspections should be conducted to verify that fire-rated doors and walls are in good condition and functioning as intended. Any damage or deficiencies should be addressed promptly to maintain the integrity of the fire protection system. Furthermore, it is crucial to provide adequate training to building occupants and personnel in the proper operation and maintenance of fire-rated doors and walls. Training should cover topics such as how to open and close doors properly, how to identify and report any damage or deficiencies, and how to respond in the event of a fire. Finally, it is important to document all inspections, maintenance, and repairs performed on fire-rated doors and walls. Maintaining accurate records can help demonstrate compliance with fire safety regulations and ensure that fire protection systems are properly maintained. Remember that fire-rated doors and walls are just one component of a comprehensive fire protection strategy. Other important elements of fire protection include fire detection and alarm systems, fire suppression systems, and emergency evacuation plans. A well-designed and maintained fire protection system can significantly reduce the risk of fire and protect building occupants and property. While the NEC provides guidance on electrical safety, it does not explicitly address fire-rated doors and walls for electrical rooms. Therefore, it is essential to consult with other relevant codes of standards such as the IBC, IRC, and NFPA 101 Life Safety Code to determine the specific requirements for fire protection in electrical rooms. In addition to the codes and standards, it is also important to consider the specific hazards associated with the electrical equipment and systems within the room. This assessment should take into account factors such as the type of equipment, voltage levels, and potential for arcing or overheating. Based on the hazard assessment, appropriate fire protection measures can be implemented to mitigate the risks. For example, if the electrical room contains high voltage equipment, it may be necessary to install fire-rated doors and walls with a higher fire resistance rating. Furthermore, it is essential to consider the potential for fire to spread from the electrical room to other parts of the building. This assessment should take into account factors such as the construction of the walls and floor surrounding the electrical room, the presence of any openings or penetrations, and the proximity to other critical areas. If there is a significant risk of fire spreading, additional fire protection measures may be necessary, such as fire stopping or fire-rated sealants. In addition to the physical fire protection measures, it is also important to implement administrative controls to prevent fires in electrical rooms. These controls may include regular inspections and maintenance of electrical equipment, restrictions on flammable materials, and training for personnel on fire safety procedures. By combining physical fire protection measures with administrative controls, a comprehensive fire protection strategy can be developed to minimize the risk of fire in electrical rooms. The use of fire-rated doors and walls is a crucial component of this strategy, providing a barrier to prevent the spread of fire and protect building occupants and property. It is important to note that the specific requirements for fire-rated doors and walls may vary depending on the jurisdiction and the specific application. Therefore, it is essential to consult with local authorities and qualified professionals to determine the appropriate fire protection measures for electrical rooms. While the NEC does not explicitly require fire-rated doors or walls for electrical rooms, other codes and standards such as the IBC and IRC may impose such requirements depending on various factors, including the voltage and amperage of the equipment, the size of the room, and the occupancy classification of the building. Additionally, local jurisdictions and insurance companies may have their own specific requirements. Therefore, it is crucial to consult with all relevant authorities and stakeholders to determine the applicable requirements for a particular project. In cases where fire-rated doors and walls are required, It is important to select products that meet the applicable standards and are properly installed and maintained. Fire-rated doors and walls are tested and labeled to indicate their fire resistance rating, which is the amount of time they can withstand exposure to fire. The fire resistance rating should be appropriate for the specific application, taking into account the potential fire hazards and the importance of protecting adjacent areas. Proper installation is also critical to ensure that fire-rated doors and walls perform as intended. This includes using the correct hardware, sealing gaps and penetrations, and ensuring that doors close and latch properly. Regular inspections and maintenance are necessary to identify and address any damage or deficiencies that could compromise the fire resistance rating. In addition to fire-rated doors and walls, other fire protection measures may be appropriate for electrical rooms, such as fire suppression systems, fire detection and alarm systems, and proper ventilation. The specific measures will depend on the potential fire hazards and the goals of the fire protection strategy. Ultimately, the decision of whether to install fire-rated doors and walls in an electrical room should be based on a thorough assessment of the potential fire hazards, the applicable codes and standards, and the specific requirements of the project. Consulting with qualified professionals such as fire protection engineers and electrical engineers can help ensure that the appropriate fire protection measures are implemented. Remember, safety should always be the top priority, and taking proactive steps to prevent fires can save lives and protect property. Let's delve into the nuances of electrical room fire safety and code compliance, providing a comprehensive understanding of the requirements and best practices. We'll explore the relevant sections of the NEC, IBC and IRC, as well as other applicable standards to provide a clear and concise guide. Firstly, let's examine the NEC stance on fire-rated doors and walls for electrical rooms. While the NEC focuses primarily on electrical safety, it does not explicitly mandate fire-rated doors or walls for these spaces. However, the NEC does address other aspects of electrical room safety, such as working space requirements, equipment clearances, and ventilation. These requirements are designed to minimize the risk of electrical hazards and ensure the safety of personnel working in or around electrical equipment. Secondly, we turn to the IBC, which contains specific requirements for fire-rated doors and walls in various types of buildings and occupancies. Chapter 5 of the IBC addresses fire resistance rated construction, and it may require fire-rated doors and walls for electrical rooms depending on factors such as the size of the room, the voltage and amperage of the equipment, and the occupancy classification of the building. For example, the IBC may require a 1 IR fire resistance rating for walls separating an electrical room from other occupied spaces. Thirdly, the IRC, which applies to 1 and 2 family dwellings, also addresses fire safety requirements. While the IRC may not be as stringent as the IBC, it may still require fire-rated doors and walls for electrical rooms in certain situations. For instance, the IRC may require a 20-minute fire resistance rating for walls separating an electrical room from a garage. In addition to the NEC, IBC, and IRC, other standards and regulations may be applicable to electrical room fire safety. These may include local building codes, fire codes, and insurance requirements. It is essential to consult with local authorities and insurance providers to determine the specific requirements for a particular project. Furthermore, it is important to consider the specific hazards associated with the electrical equipment in the room. High-voltage equipment, transformers, and switchgear can pose a significant fire risk, and additional fire protection measures may be warranted. These measures may include fire suppression systems, such as sprinklers or clean agent systems, as well as fire detection and alarm systems. The selection of appropriate fire protection measures should be based on a thorough hazard analysis and the recommendations of qualified professionals. Moreover, it is essential to ensure that any fire-rated doors and walls are properly installed and maintained. This includes using the correct hardware, sealing gaps and penetrations, and regularly inspecting and testing the doors and walls to ensure they are functioning as intended. Neglecting maintenance can compromise the fire resistance rating of these components and increase the risk of fire spread. Furthermore, it is crucial to provide adequate training to personnel who work in or around electrical rooms. This training should cover topics such as fire safety procedures, the location of fire extinguishers, and the proper operation of fire protection systems. By educating personnel on fire safety, the risk of human error and accidental fires can be significantly reduced. In addition to the prescriptive requirements of codes and standards, it is also important to consider performance-based design approaches. Performance-based design allows for flexibility in meeting fire safety objectives by focusing on the desired outcome rather than specific prescriptive requirements. This approach may be appropriate for complex or unusual electrical room designs where prescriptive requirements may not be practical or cost-effective. However, performance-based design requires a thorough understanding of fire dynamics and the use of sophisticated modeling tools to demonstrate that the desired fire safety objectives are met. In conclusion, while the NEC does not explicitly require fire-rated doors or walls for electrical rooms, other codes, standards, and regulations may impose such requirements. The specific requirements will depend on a variety of factors, including the size of the room, the voltage and amperage of the equipment, the occupancy classification of the building, and local regulations. It is essential to consult with qualified professionals and local authorities to determine the applicable requirements for a particular project and to implement appropriate fire protection measures. By taking a comprehensive approach to electrical room fire safety, the risk of fire can be significantly reduced, protecting lives and property. Also, remember to consider the impact of modifications and renovations on the fire resistance rating of electrical rooms. Any changes to the walls, doors, or other components of the room could affect its ability to withstand fire. It is important to ensure that any modifications are performed in accordance with applicable codes and standards and that the fire resistance rating is maintained. This may involve using fire-rated materials, sealing penetrations, and verifying that doors close and latch properly. Neglecting to address fire safety during modifications can create a significant fire hazard and compromise the overall fire protection of the building. Moreover, it is crucial to consider the potential for future expansion or changes to the electrical equipment in the room. If the electrical load is expected to increase significantly, it may be necessary to upgrade the fire protection measures to accommodate the increased fire risk. This could involve installing additional fire suppression systems, upgrading fire-rated doors and walls, or improving ventilation. Planning for future expansion can help avoid costly retrofits and ensure that the electrical room remains safe and compliant over time. Furthermore, it is important to coordinate fire safety efforts with other building systems such as HVAC, plumbing, and telecommunications. These systems can create pathways for fire and smoke to spread throughout the building, so it is essential to ensure that they are properly fire-stopped and that any penetrations are sealed. Coordination between different trades and disciplines is crucial to achieving a holistic approach to fire protection. Also, the importance of documentation and record-keeping cannot be overstated. Maintaining accurate records of inspections, maintenance, repairs, and modifications can help demonstrate compliance with codes and standards and provide valuable information for future assessments. Documentation should include details such as the date of the inspection, findings, any corrective actions taken, and the qualifications of the person performing the work. Proper documentation can help ensure that fire protection systems are properly maintained and that any deficiencies are promptly addressed. Additionally, it is important to stay informed about changes to codes, standards, and regulations. Fire safety requirements are constantly evolving, so it is essential to keep up to date with the latest developments. This can involve attending training courses, subscribing to industry publications, and participating in professional organizations. By staying informed, you can ensure that your electrical room fire safety practices are always in line with the latest requirements. In addition to the technical aspects of fire safety, it is also important to foster a culture of safety within the organization. This involves promoting awareness of fire hazards, encouraging reporting of potential problems, and providing regular training to employees. A strong safety culture can help prevent fires from occurring in the first place and ensure that everyone knows how to respond in the event of a fire. Also, remember to consider the impact of environmental factors on electrical room fire safety. Temperature, humidity, and dust can all affect the performance of electrical equipment and increase the risk of fire. It is important to maintain proper ventilation and temperature control to prevent overheating and condensation. Regular cleaning can help remove dust and debris that could ignite or interfere with the operation of fire protection systems. Furthermore, it is crucial to protect electrical equipment from water damage. Water can cause short circuits and electrical fires, so it is important to ensure that the electrical room is properly sealed and that any leaks or spills are promptly addressed. Installing water detection systems can provide early warning of potential water damage and allow for timely intervention. Lastly, the value of conducting regular fire drills cannot be overstated. Fire drills provide an opportunity to practice evacuation procedures and identify any weaknesses in the fire safety plan. Drills should be conducted at various times and under different scenarios to ensure that everyone knows what to do in the event of a fire. After each drill, it is important to review the performance and identify any areas for improvement. By conducting regular fire drills, you can help ensure that everyone is prepared to respond effectively in the event of a real fire. While the NEC does not explicitly require fire-rated doors or walls for electrical rooms, it is important to consult with other relevant codes and standards, as well as local authorities and qualified professionals to determine the appropriate fire protection measures for a particular project. By taking a comprehensive approach to electrical room fire safety, you can help protect lives and property from the devastating effects of fire.